Yeah,
Killer, killer, killer. All right, Jason Mezrahi. How you doing today, man?
good. So how are we doing this podcast? Are you recording now or what?
Yeah, I just started recording and whatever. It's fun. So essentially all we're trying to do is I just want to learn more about you. I mean, I know a little bit, but I want the people to know. I want to know what you're working on, what your business is like, maybe a little bit about your book, maybe about your writing career. I hear you're a radio host, a podcast host. You got a lot of stuff going on. So I want more people to know about it, Jason, because I think you're a pretty cool guy.
Thank you, dude. I appreciate the kind words. So basically, yeah, I got a lot of going on. Hosting Sirius satellite radio on the Fantasy Sports Network. Basically every Saturday night from 11 to 1 a.m. There's potential to add a new show. Hopefully everything goes well. We're gonna get a second night sometime during the week or the weekend. So that's something that it's basically taking up a lot of my time on the weekends. So no vacations and just working 7 days a week. But that's, it's fun to me. I never thought I'd be on the radio, but I actually really enjoy it, to be honest with you. Nothing I ever planned on doing in my life. It just kind of,
Yeah.
I guess to some extent, fell in my lap, even though I went for it when I realized it was an opportunity. But now that it's here, I actually look forward to driving into the city, trying to find parking and spending, walking through Rockefeller Center and, off Broadway and where the tree is and everything else during Christmas time and holiday
Oh,
time is chaotic
dude.
and hectic. I literally park like a half a mile away just not to be around that.
But like
And
the energy there, come on, Rockefeller Center at Christmas, it's like there's no
that,
more Christmas that I can think of.
yeah. So once you get out the car and you're done with the bumper to bumper and you actually smell the crisp air and people are running around with lights and there's little kids walking around the Macy's, themes that are going around. Yeah, you get a buzz that you don't get in Long Island or outside of the city. So getting there is rough, but once you're there, you do get that energy that you really feel like it's Christmas where everything else is so fast paced in your life and you kind of have to stop and look and appreciate kind of like when you were a kid like, it's, something's really going on here. So the energy is alive in the city.
I love it, man. No, that's awesome. And yeah, again, really appreciate you hanging out with me for a little bit tonight. As I said, think you're a pretty cool guy. You got a lot of stuff going on. If you need a co-host, or I mean, even if you just want me to call in, like I'll call in like every night if you want. Like that's fine. I'll ask you all the questions because I came in last place this year in my fantasy league. So clearly, I needed some of the help.
Yeah, man. Listen, adding a second show, I'm gonna need more help. So you never know
Perfect.
when I give you a call.
Consider this an interview. How's that sound?
There you go.
Consider this
Uh,
one an interview, Jason.
yeah, security's tight there, but if I get you across the border in there and get you into the studio, you're smooth sailing from there. I just got to get you. Maybe this could be the pilot, and we can send it over to them, and you could be a backup whenever somebody like literally right now. My co-host had his first child. Uh,
Congratulations.
yeah, so I actually did the last show by myself, which is tough, man. I'll be honest, man. Talking to yourself for 2 hours is rather rough. Luckily, I had a couple guys from Win Daily Sports, like my team, who were really supportive guys, and they hopped on. So I had three guys come on. They did two segments each, but I had to do like 3 or 4 segments just talking to dead air,
hmm
which, starting a show by yourself is kind of weird. I've
hmm
recorded for myself like on a podcast, but recording knowing that you're live on Sirius
Yeah.
Radio and it's syndicated across the country, it's a little bit different. So not that I was nervous, but it was a struggle to get through those 15 minutes by myself because I'm looking at the clock like, all right, I gotta get out.
Ah,
And there's more worries when there's nobody else you're talking to. So,
absolutely.
the time pressure, knowing that you got to talk for 15 minutes, like I can talk for an hour by myself, but knowing that you got to talk for 15 minutes kind of switches things up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I, it sounds like something I'd want to do until I get there, I think.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? Like, I would love to do that. I love talking into this microphone. I love talking to people, all the callers in the world, whatever. But until I actually was able to do something like that or get there to do that, I could see, yeah, watching that clock tick down. You think you just talked for 20 minutes and you got 14 minutes more.
Yeah,
I could see
exactly. That's
that.
how it felt like. I'm like, I know I got to get through 15 and I get through 7. I'm like, what am I going to talk about now? Late at night that the games, it's a weird week too, because the games were pretty much over.
Yep.
And on top of the games being over, NFL season is dwindling down. There's only 2 games on Sunday, so it was difficult, but got through it. And I got it under my belt that now I did it, so now I know I can do it again. So every
Exactly.
time from here on out will be easier.
Add it to the resume, man. And so Jason is the owner of Win Now Daily Fantasy Sport. You say it. I'm out.
See, you're failing, man. I don't know if we can bring you on serious now. It's windailysports.com.
Oh, where does Win Now come?
windailysports.com.
Where does
I
Win
don't
Now
know,
come
man.
from? I don't know.
Maybe that's your new venture that nobody knows
Maybe.
about yet,
Oh,
man.
there we go. Maybe the LLC is Win Now.
Win Now's got to be taken.
I hope so at this point. But Win Daily Fantasy Sports.
He's still messing up.
Damn
Man.
it. Win Daily Sports. There.
There
Good.
you go. There you go. Win Daily
Win
Sports.
Daily Sports.
So
Great
now everybody's
book.
going to remember it because we just plugged it like 7 times in a
Yeah.
row.
This is all. I'm a mastermind, dude. I'm playing chess. You're playing checkers. Like it's not even. You have no idea. Author of Win Daily. I read that book, so I'm pretty sure that is the name of the book.
You got that one.
Pete Rose. I thought that was pretty cool. Did the forward. That was pretty sweet.
I actually finally got to meet him in person about a month ago, and he still has that swag. Because I was like, how do I talk to this guy? This guy's a legend. Get to meet him, and he signed. I don't know if you ever saw like that infamous picture of him sliding head first with like his hair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's signing that picture. I'm talking to him, kind of like just bullshitting with him. Then I tell him, listen, I showed him my thumb, and you can see stitches on my thumb and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I actually tore my UCL and broke my thumb sliding head first into third base this past summer. He's like, you did it wrong.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, man, he's got the swag still.
That's
He's
awesome.
Like, I slid thousands of times, never got hurt. I'm like, well, I don't even know how to respond to that. I just kind of laughed it off. I'm like, I can't say anything to this guy. The guy's a legend. But he's still got swag. He's still got confidence. Real good dude. And, it was cool to meet him, man. I talked to him a couple times over the phone, sent emails back and forth to kind of get the forward right with him, and never really got to meet him. It was cool to actually shake his hand. Now I got a signed autograph by him. It was cool. He signed a couple copies of the book. So I got some memories to take home with me.
There you go, dude. No, I thought that part was really cool. I mean, what made you want Pete Rose to do the forward? Because I know that was something you and I actually spoke about that a while ago when you were in the process of writing the book. I think right around the time you were considering or at least in the process of reaching out to him, if I'm not mistaken. But why Pete Rose? I mean, considering the controversy around him is, not light. It's pretty heavy in certain circles. Like, what was it that made you want him to be a part of it?
As far as from a marketing standpoint, I thought it made a lot of sense. Like, all right, it's fantasy sports, it's win daily, it's a mindset, competitiveness, and there's a gambling and a fantasy aspect of it. So when I wrote a list on who I want to be on my forward, a couple names popped up. Pete was at the top. I'm like, let me just take a shot at this. Let me see if this is possible. I'm like, there's probably a 10, 15, maybe 16, 17% chance maximum that this guy's going to agree to write a forward for a book about gambling and fantasy sports. Probably less than 10%, but I'm like, you know what? Screw it. So I reach out to his agent, his marketing agent, did some research, reach out to his agent, no answer. Reach out again. He's like, what do you want? I'm like, well, I want to see if Pete's interested in writing a forward. He's like, he's probably not. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm like, well, can we talk about it? It took like 2-3 calls, calling them back, and then I figured out a way to make it all make sense to their side of thing, and it went through. It was just, you got to try, man. I'm not scared of anything, outside of snakes, to be honest with you. You put a snake in my room, I'll walk out of it.
Really?
Definitely
spiders.
like
Spiders for me, man. I'm not about it.
Yeah, spiders I don't mind, man. When they put them in a bus full of snakes, I would have probably just cried and like killed myself. But outside of that, not scared to get a no, man. So figured ask, see what happens. Same way I got the Sirius show. Like people come up to me like, oh, I've been trying to get a Sirius show. I've been trying to do this all my life. I'm like, dude, if I can get a Sirius show, I don't have a voice for radio. Never really had aspirations of goals to have a Sirius show, and I have it. So I even told my boy who like, he wanted to be a rapper all his life. He's into hip hop. He writes. He rhymes. I said, dude, if I can get a Sirius show, I need to hear you on the radio one of these days, man. You can do it. Just just push through it. Whatever you have to do, just get it on once, twice to make it happen. And then, overcoming these kind of obstacles, or people call them obstacles. I think they're opportunities. If you get it, you don't. If not, you move on to the next person on the list. And that's kind of how I've been attacking things, man. Just I surprise myself sometimes that it actually works out as planned. A lot of times it doesn't work out, but you just got to go to the next one, man. If it's not number one on your list, it's number two or number three, and then number three will be good enough, man, if you start at the top.
Yeah, man. No, I totally agree. I just think it's super cool. I mean, you got Pete Rose, you have this Sirius show. I also saw, and I had no idea that you're a contributing writer for USA Today as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're clearly doing some stuff, and I think it's awesome. And yeah, that's again why I wanted to have you on a little bit. So if you don't mind, so first question is, I mean, sports, right? Like, who doesn't love sports? Fan is short for fanatic. Like, what is it? Where is the love of sports? Where does that come from in your life, whether it was growing up playing? I mean, clearly you're still playing somehow I don't know how old you are, and I'm not going to give it away if I did know, but how are you tearing your UCL sliding head first? Like, dude, what are you doing, man?
Very
Like,
competitive softball.
but I mean, like, come on, man. You got kids right now. I'm busting. But I'm like, where does the love of sports come from? And how have you been able to take that love and really turn it into, a legitimate business, a writing career, a radio host, and an author of a book?
Super competitive, ever since I was young. I never really carried around toys. I wasn't the type of kid who had like G.I. Joes and Legos. I always had a ball, a glove, a bat, and that's what I was doing all my life. From like 3 years old, 4 years old, always really, really, really into sports. So played every sport after school, played every sport in high school, football, basketball, baseball, played hockey, all at competitive levels. Could have played it in college, but I decided to go the fraternity life and party and enjoy school over continuing playing baseball. So that was a choice I made to kind of give it up, as far as I'm not going to the league. I was injured too many times, needed surgery on my elbow. So I kind of gave up baseball at that point, but I still played. I played baseball after college when I got back home. And then we found out about softball. Like, someone invited me to play softball. Then that turned into like getting into more competitive leagues. And then we started playing these competitive tournaments, which we traveled across the country playing competitive softball. As crazy as that sounds, there's leagues out there. We traveled the ESPN complex in
Oh,
Florida,
no way.
all down the East Coast. And it's crazy. Like, kids are actually kids, whatever you want to call them, were like taking steroids, fighting with each other, cutting their friends off teams. Like, it was like no joke softball. Like, benching their friends for, dropping them for somebody better from another team. It was like cutthroat, like worse than like coaches in high school
Yeah.
were to their friends.
Uh-huh.
That's how it got. And it got to the point it wasn't really fun. It was taking up a bunch of time. So I kind of scaled that back. Now I just play more just for fun, but I'm
Beer
36,
league.
going to be 37 in a couple of weeks. So you can get that out of me.
Happy birthday, bud.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm
So
I'm in a beer
competitive
league
sport.
softball. Like,
Yeah,
beer, it's fun. It's a
yeah,
blast. We're terrible, but it's a lot of fun.
yeah.
Slug a
That's what we
couple.
do. Stay
Yeah.
kind of active. Softball's not so active. Kind of active. You get out of the house for a couple hours, and you don't really think about life. You don't think about business. You don't think about work, and you kind of just act like a kid, to some extent.
Yeah, hang out. It's a child's game, man. We're just here to have a good time. Like, what the heck? These guys making what Garrett Cole get? 324 million, whatever that number ended up being.
Yeah, a
Like,
lot of money.
good for him. Well deserved. But yeah, I mean, at the core of it, I played baseball since I was like 6.
Yeah.
It's just slightly more competitive where he's at. But I love that, man. Now, sports, I mean, the competitive nature of it. I played a bunch growing up. I stopped around the end of high school because I knew same thing, wasn't going to play in college, wasn't going to go to the league. Then I went to college. And then, yeah, I decided to party a little bit while I was there too, and it was a blast. But as long as we have a good time, right? We only get to do this thing once, so very
Yep.
happy about it. But so Win Daily Sports, I think I got
There
it.
you go.
How many times do you think we should make a counter? How many times we have to say that this episode? Talk to me about the business a little bit. I mean, like, I understand it. I know what you're doing. The book, obviously, you have some really great stories in the book. The one where you win $150,000 and you're featured in a commercial. Well, I want to get to that at some point, but give me the premise behind the business and what exactly you're trying to do for the community that you've been able to cultivate.
Yeah, so it all started when my wife had this crazy idea to write a book. So it kind of started then. And I kind of shrugged it off like, why the hell would I write a book? I don't like writing. So that's where it started. Then I read a lot of books, so it made it made sense to me write a book. It's something that not many people do. So let me just think about this. But then I kind of brushed it off. And then somebody, those like Instagram, they just like bot at you and like, oh, I can get you followers. I can do this for you. I can do that for you. So some guy came up, or bot, whatever you want to call it, messaged me and said, hey, you ever thought about writing a book about your consulting business? I said, me being naive, I said, if I ever wrote a book, I'd write it about my daily fantasy sports career and not consulting, because that's a lot more exciting, talking about going to the Playboy Mansion rather than consulting for other businesses. But I took it as a sign. If my wife is telling me now an Instagram bot is trying to sell me on writing a book, I probably should write this book. So
what was the bot's response? Because that's I don't think the bot gets that response too often.
So I think it was a real person, because then I followed up with the bot or the person. But I know this guy now, and he does automation through LinkedIn and Instagram. So I think it was a bot that like gets this conversation flowing,
okay.
and when it kicks over to a certain point, he steps in.
All right.
I had a conversation with him. He's like, listen, I can help you publish your book. This, that, anything. It'll be this. It'll be that for you. It'll be great for you. Blah, 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 blah. So I'm like, great idea. I'll do it by myself. But that was the sign to officially make it happen. It was my wife. And then it was the universe kind of telling me, hey, do this. And I did it. And then basically had no intention to make a website. Honest to God truth. I didn't want to be this tout who's making these claims that he's the best in the world and he can go out there and make all the perfect picks, because that's what I kind of tried to avoid when I was making my own picks, to avoid the noise. So I said, I'm not doing that. And then when the book was done, I started talking to my friends like, listen, how are you going to promote this book? I'm like, I was going to put it out there and see what happens. They're like, no, you can't do that. You got to be doing this. So then like 3 or 4 weeks in, I'm like, all right, so I guess I got to start podcasting and I have to start a website. So I literally recruited a developer and a couple people to help out and start this website. And with no serious plans outside of that, did I make a decision to start a website after writing this book. And then, my entrepreneur self kicked in, and then it was full throttle from there. So the idea is like, all right, I guess I got to do this now, because I can't just release the book and then the brand kind of dies with the book. Mm-hmm. And books, if you don't have a lot of money or a publisher behind you, it's not going to get so far. So I'm like, you know what? Let the book be the business card, the calling card, the introduction to everything I'm about to do. And then let me just see what happens. And from there, picked out a name, picked out a website, got a developer. The first developer was terrible, flaking, not good at all. And I fought tooth and nail with him to get it to the point that it worked to some extent. We had articles, WordPress, this, that, and the other thing. And then went through another developer, which is, I turned one of my writers who wasn't really a developer into a developer. Then he completely, business is kind of chugging along where we have a bunch of members and people are signed up. And then one day he just completely ghosted me. And I haven't heard from him since. So if you're out there, I'm not going to mention names, but if you're out there, bud, just tell me why. Tell me why. I think I know why. I think the site got bigger than what he can handle, and he didn't want to tell me that. So he just basically never emailed me, called me, and I was frantically oh my God, I have paying subscribers. Not a lot at that point, but I have some subscribers. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to develop a website. What the hell am I going to do? So then I went ahead. I just called everybody I know, yo, I need a developer. And just like when, the moral of the story, becoming a long story, but the moral of the story is when you think something is so bad and, oh my God, and I was in that point that I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have a heart attack. I got all these people and I can't fix the website tomorrow if anything goes down. If it maintains, I might be able to maintain it for a couple of days, but if anything goes wrong, if somebody needs a refund or this, I don't know how to do anything. But call my connects. One guy, he's like, yo, I have this guy who I outsource all my website stuff to. You should talk to him. And this gentleman named William, who I'll mention his name.
I was going to say, we can mention his name. That's fine.
He's a godsend. Without him, This was like in the middle of baseball season. Without him, I would not be where I'm at today. So from this one dude ghosting me, that was probably the best thing that ever happened to my business to this point. So like looking back, I was ready to like just fall on the floor and crash. And then it ended up being the best boost to the business because he was able to, there was so much stuff broken with the website that I didn't even know myself because I didn't know the back end. When he saw this, like, dude, like everything, like I tell him, like, can you do this? Like, yeah, I can, but I got to fix like 5 other things before I do that. And this guy, luckily, he's an American named William who moved out. He had a development business and moved out to India about 10 years ago. And now he has a crew of people underneath him and resources around him. So now I'm able to scale a lot quicker and faster. And plus, he has more experience than anybody that I've met in the States. And developers, I don't know if you ever worked with developers, but they're the hardest breed of people to deal with. Like me and you, we can go play softball together. We can talk on a podcast for a while. We can talk about business. We can talk about sports. None of those things you can do with a developer.
Yeah.
A developer are just like in a box. Like they only know code.
They develop.
They don't like really people for the most part. They don't like sales. They don't like marketing. And they're not visual really. So whatever, and they always keep you behind a closed door. Like, yeah, I'm working on it. All right, is it done? No, it's not done yet. All right, it's going to be another week. All right, it's going to be more money. And then when they actually unveil it to you, like, I didn't want any of this. This looks horrible. That's what usually happens with developers. And then you're always stranded for the next one. But William has been a blessing. And like I said, moral of the story is when you think something's really bad, it could actually be a positive for yourself, business, whatever. So you got to always look at what the opportunity is in any kind of situation. So from there, now in a matter of 6 months from launching the website, we launched it like around April. We're up to the point that we've hit break even, so we're not losing money anymore, which for a website in 2020, to my knowledge, is kind of ridiculous. Like it usually doesn't happen that way. Usually these companies are burning through, money month over month over month, and they never hit a break even point. The community loves us because we're really taking it from we're not these touts that are just saying, play this guy, he's the best guy. We actually created a community in our Discord chat that from the time I wake up in the morning to the time I go to sleep, and I wake up at 6 and I go to sleep like at 2 most mornings, people are talking in this community, asking real questions. And my team, like my guy Javi, David, Phil, there's so many of them. I got 20 to 25 guys, and they're all like me and you. They really want to help people. They're not like scumbags. They're not in it for the money. They're not in it they're all professionals. They're making their money. Like Avi's won over $250,000 in the last like 3 months. And he's still in our Discord chat working for free to help people. That's the type of person he is. David's won probably like $150,000. And these two guys they're both married and one's engaged. They both have real jobs, making a ton of money in their real jobs. And they're still helping these people in Discord all day long. So that's what really sets us apart, is that community aspect. Anytime someone emails me, I email them back. They're like, is this really you? I'm like, yeah, dude, it's my signature. Nobody's faking my account, my email address. I give my email address out on the radio. People call us up. I say, yo, just hit me up on email, man. I'm there, And then it's funny to me, like, people are running small operations. They don't answer their emails. Like, it's important. Like, I hope the lady at my daycare is not listening, but we just started daycare with my wife.
Don't say her name. Don't say her name. Don't say her name.
And she didn't email my wife back for like a week and a half. I'm like, and I went to her, I'm like, listen, it's our first week, it's our first child. She's like, she needs these questions answered for us to move smoothly through this process. She's like, oh man, I get like 200 emails a day. I know she's lying to me, but like, even if you got 200 emails a day, like, you got to get to them sometime. You can't just let them go out for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
Work through the nonsense. And if you have a client who has their kid in your daycare, you should probably answer that email when it's just a one-liner back. Yeah, just pack her back, whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it is, man. The team is strong. We have over 4,000, 5,000 users in the community now. And we got big plans for 2020 now, man. It's really future growth, some new developments, a lot more tools with the website that are going to be added. So really excited, man.
Dude, I think it's awesome. As you said, I remember when you were building it, all of it being community based, making sure that you're actually caring for the people, being authentic. I was listening to an interview with Erica Nardini, Barstool CEO, and she was talking about something where these big companies now are having meetings to find out how to be more authentic, which is just super backwards, because if you need to have a meeting to figure out how to be authentic, you're clearly not being authentic, right? And like, I know you and I know what you're trying to do and how you're trying to build the community. It is very authentic. I've emailed you and I think I've gotten some weird times back where it's, like 6:15 in the morning, 1:48 at night. Like, I'm receiving those emails back. They aren't about fantasy because I was going to lose anyway. It didn't really matter. But I know that's you and you're doing that stuff and you're getting to it. And I really appreciate it. But so I've said it a couple times, fantasy sports, daily fantasy sports. You've told me everything about the business except for what the business is. So what is Win Daily Sports? What do you do? What is the community based around? Like, what are you actually doing for these people and for this community that you have cultivated?
Good question. Good question.
You kind of talked around it. You did a great job. I loved all the information. We just never actually got to what you do.
Yeah. So DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, Fantasy Draft. There's so many sites out there now that people are playing on. They're going in blind. They're risking a bunch of money. They're losing a bunch of money, and they're playing daily fantasy sports. So I don't know if you've seen the commercials, but simply put, you risk money, you build a lineup, and you go against other people doing the same thing. And this industry has evolved in the last 7, 8, 9 years where there's a lot of tools out there, and there are a lot of sharp money in there, people playing this professionally, and they're trying to take your money. They're trying to take my money, and they're trying to win all the money, and it's serious business, man. There's people winning, like, who've turned this into a business. They only do this, and they're making $1 million a year. There's people getting lucky, and they'll win $1 million in a day. There's people getting lucky, and they win $100,000 in a random Saturday or Sunday. There's real money being changed hands every single day. So what we do is we publish around 5 to 7 articles every single day, most of which are free. So that free content we put out from other professionals like Javi, myself, David, Nick, Phil, all these guys who play every day, we write articles on the site. And we try to give the insight on these are the guys in the best situations, good values that are going to hopefully do what we intend them to do to help you make money. Then we have projection models, which are really data-driven. So basically, based on the numbers, this guy's projected at this many points, this guy's projected at that many points. So we have projection models. Then we also do cheat sheets. So we narrow it down again. So if there's 500 people you can pick for on a given Sunday, we try to narrow it down for 25 to 50 of them so you can pick from that. So we understand everybody's busy, man. You're busy, I'm busy. If I can cut down someone's research time from 3 hours to 20 minutes, and like some guy messaged me on Facebook just yesterday, he's like, listen, I haven't played DFS NBA for about 2 years. I looked at your cheat sheet. I made a lineup in 2 minutes, and I tripled my money. I was like, that's amazing. Not saying that happens every day, but for him to be able to do that, it's coming from him. I didn't make it up. He really did that last night. And then we have Discord. Discord, I think, is our biggest asset to the people. That's that chat room that you can go in there and ask real pros. It's kind of like if you wanted to be a doctor, you can pay $20 a month, and you can speak to doctors about how to be a doctor. Imagine that. Or if you were a lawyer, you were going to law school and like, hey, I got these tough questions on my test. What should I be talking about here? What are the answers? Why is this the answer? Oh, that's what it's about. Oh, okay. It's like you're getting access to professionals for $20 a month, which comes out to, like 40 cents a day, whatever it comes out to. It's cheap, man. It's less than I spend $20 on a lunch pretty much 4 or 5 days a week, so.
What are you buying for lunch, dude?
I eat healthy, man. I get like a fresh juice. I get like a veggie burger or something that. It's not cheap, man. That's
food is fuel. So you put in, you get in what you put out, or put in what you get out, whatever the heck that is. But I get it. But you're in New York half the time. So yeah.
Yeah. So, that's what we do, man. We really try to help handheld we're really holding people's hands, making sure people post lineups in our Discord chat, and we say, hey, you got to take that guy out. That guy's he's not going to happen. He's not going to make it happen today. So take him out, slide him in. This is what I'm looking at. This is what my lineup's looking like. I might change it, but this is where I'm at right now in my construction. So that's there for him. And we also do sports betting too. Sports betting is just on the brink. It's really just on the brink, and it's going to change people's lives, man. It's going to be negative, positive, and it's going to be in between. Some people like yourself, I know what type of person you are. You're going to do it for the entertainment factor here and there.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to go. You're not going to go deep one way or another. You're not going to go into this. Oh
it's
my
$20.
God, everybody games. You might go to a game and you might bet $5, $10, $20 on it.
Yeah.
I know your demeanor just by seeing you.
Yeah.
But there's going to be people who have that addictive personality that are going to be going $500, $1,000, $10,000 a game, and they shouldn't be doing that, man. They really shouldn't be doing that. But we have 3 guys on our site that do it for a living, straight up. One of my good friends, Steve, he lives in Jersey by you, and he hasn't had a job, I don't think, a day in his life. I don't know. I haven't gone back so far. But did you ever work like at Walmart at high school or something like that?
Right.
Because he went from being a professional poker player online, racking up tons of money, to a professional DFS player. And now he kind of feels like the edge is gone in DFS a little bit. So he became a professional sports bettor. And he's disciplined as hell. And he pays his bills. He has money in the bank. I've seen it. And that's all he does for a living. He's super disciplined. So and we have a chat room just for that. And we have sports betting articles just for that, because that can get away from you real quick. So we really try to help people to make, educated investments with their sports betting investments, not just betting whatever, they feel like. So we really try to help people out, man. So for $20 a month, you can make up like your whole year subscription just by not making mistakes, learning how to bet, learning the industry, and really trying to avoid the sharks, better content selection, and making right decisions throughout the process.
No, I mean, that's all of that is fantastic, man. I mean, first off, never have a job a day in your life. I mean, I truly enjoy what I do, and I know you love what you do too. But it's got a cool ring to it, just being a professional gambler. That's got to be a lot of fun. So there's definitely that. And yes, you hit the nail on the head. I do not gamble a lot. I like maybe 2 bets, 3 bets a year. I lose all of them. My brother has now figured out whatever I ask to bet. He just fades me and wins. He doesn't tell me till after the fact, but it is kind of funny. The only time I ever won. So I actually, not the biggest fan of Colin Cowherd, but he said some interesting things. And I can't remember when I was listening to him or watching him, but he was bringing up like to stop enjoying his favorite football team, he would bet against them every single week. So he would actually root against them so that way he could pay for his rent. Because if he won all 4 bets, he would then have enough money to pay for rent or whatever. I was like, that's a really great way of doing it. So I hate the Eagles. When they went on the Super Bowl run, I bet $50 on them every single time to win. So I recouped. I mean, I won all the bets. I just hate it.
My friend does that too. His theory behind it is he bets against his favorite teams. So if they lose, he wins money. If they win, he's happy because his favorite team wins.
Yes.
Like if there's big games, like a big pressure game, he'll bet against his favorite team, so he walks away a winner either way. That's the way he looks at it.
Exactly. And I've done that. So I've done that with the Eagles. I did that with the Yankees a couple years ago when they made it to Game 7. So the way I look at it is if I lose, I paid for them to lose, which is worth the 20 or $50, whatever I put down, because my happiness is everything, Jason. Our happiness is everything. So you obviously talk to a lot of daily fantasy players. You obviously talk to a lot of gamblers, and you said the word a couple times, so I want to bring it up again, discipline. I have to assume that's the number one thing that comes into factor when you do want to do this, either professionally or you actually want to make money doing it. You can't be like me and just be like, oh, I hate the Eagles, let me bet on them. I hate the Yankees, let me bet on them. You have to be strict, and you actually have to know what you're doing. So what is like the makeup of, I guess, your personality that allowed you to actually become very, very successful at doing this for a living?
Discipline is not my greatest asset,
Okay.
when it comes to this. So like I've been better at playing than I have been at my discipline. But if I had a choice, I'd rather be more disciplined than be better, because it would prevent the traps and it prevent the emotional forcing of plays. If I can make the perfect gambler or perfect DFS player, is somebody who is very detail oriented at creating a plan and sticking to the plan. And that's the toughest thing to do with sports betting. And that's why I really love DFS over sports betting. And that's why I don't really sports bet too much. If you gave me one pick in a week, say, listen, Jay, you got to make one pick and you go and make one play this week, I think my win rate would probably be around 80, 90%. I feel really confident about that. But if you give me access to an account and I can just bet whenever I want, wherever I want, my discipline, as I get older, I've gotten more disciplined and I've learned from my mistakes in the past. But if I can make the perfect DFS player, our discipline would be one of the most important things. You got to set a plan. You got to understand. See, I understand never betting money I don't have, you know?
Yeah, that's it
But
sounds obvious, but I know a lot of people fall into that trap,
yeah,
right?
so that I never worry about. But my problem is after you win money, and this is, honesty right here. After you win money, they're just numbers on the screen. Your life doesn't really change. You have a nice car, you have a nice family, you have a nice house, and then there's numbers on the screen. So they don't really start meaning much to you. And when they lose value on the screen, then you just start playing like a donkey and just throwing money away here, money away there, because nothing really affects your life. So, that's the biggest thing that I've kind of learned my lesson numerous times over the years. And I think I officially learned it the last time that, you know what, I could put my money into something else after a big win. So I think, the next move for me after my next big hit would be to take the money out of the account and really put it to the side. I mean, like somewhere, since I don't have the discipline as much as I want, put it somewhere where it can't be touched. Like go put it in real estate, where at least it's got to sit there for a couple of years or forever, or put it in a college fund for my daughter now that I have a daughter, so the next hit is going to go somewhere where it's not going in one bank account. It can easily come back into here, go to there, like put it somewhere where for the most part, it can just sit and park, and it'd be tough to sell a house and pull it back out, so that's the next move. So discipline is key. But it's also taking risks are key. If you don't take risk in life or in anything, you got to take them. You got to take calculated risks. So that's something I've always felt good with. Like I don't drink and drive ever. I think that's completely you being an idiot. That's not a risk I would take. But calculated risk in business or calculated risk in DFS or in gambling or in a casino, when you know what you're up against, and it's a risk worth taking, go for it, man. So you got to take risk in life. You got to just go out there and see what the hell happens. Because a lot of time, like I saw something in Will Smith, he's talking about stories now. He, for whatever reason, if you haven't seen this video, it's actually pretty cool. He was talking to his son or daughter, whoever it was, and they were out at a campfire, and I guess they were drinking a little bit, and they all decided they're going to go skydiving the next day. And then he starts freaking out, like trying to talk himself out of it. Like, I don't think I want to do this. Why did I make this decision? But he told his kids he's going to do it. So he's kind of like freaking out about it. He didn't really want to do it, but he was worrying about it and worrying about it and worrying about it all day long. Worries about it. He goes up on a plane, worries about it, worries about it. Then when he jumps out and comes down, it was the best thing he ever did in his life, he said. So a lot of times you worry about stuff. You worry about taking this risk. And when you actually get on stage or you get on the mic or you're jumping out of the plane, you realize that you just worried for nothing because it wasn't that bad of a thing. It was actually something you enjoyed doing, but you were worrying the whole time that a lot of people don't even end up doing it because they worry themselves out of it. So you got to take risk, calculate a risk, and, push yourself, come out of your comfort zone. And that's when I truly think the biggest of your accomplishments will happen.
I love it, man. That went from like daily fantasy to like some real great life advice. So I appreciate that, and I hope everyone else out there soaked in that wisdom a little bit, man. No, I think it's great. Obviously, you and I have been friends for a little while now. I don't know, something around a year. We've been hanging out with the same circle of friends every once in a while, and it's always enjoyable to get to chat with you a little bit, especially about some of the stuff that you're working on. So you said you alluded to it a little bit, but I want to hear it. You said your next big hit. What's a big hit to Jason? How big is that? How big is that win for it to be like, all right, let me take this out and buy some real estate?
It's got to be. It's got to be minimum. I would say 100. You
Okay.
know. Uh,
That's 100,000 just for everyone out there listening and
yeah.
understanding. Yeah. No, that's
I
good. And it,
haven't done it in a while. It's been too long. Like in the summertime, I hit for 25 or 15, like back to back. So I walked away with like 35,000 in like 2 days. That was cool. But you know, 150, 100, like especially now. So like I don't know what you call it, but I'm either really good at recruiting people or somewhat good at coaching people or somehow have like the lucky touch. But pretty much everybody I brought onto the team have had their biggest wins since they joined the team. I think it's part luck, part good recruiting of good people. And then I also think when people teach others and really have a good heart about it and have good karma on their side, it kind of that reflects through too. But Avi has won $100,000 two times since joining, and he never won more than like 40 or 50 or 30 or 40. David won $100,000, which was the most he's ever won since joining. And this is happening now, like a month or two after the people start joining. Not to that level, but this other guy from Long Island just joined the squad, James Rocker, and he had like a couple $3,000-$4,000 hits. He hit for $10,000 2 weeks ago. Another guy from Canada that somehow is on the team. We have people all over the country, which is
hey,
crazy.
over
Uh,
the multiple international, dude. You're international. You're in Canada.
he hit for $4,000, and he was ecstatic. And then plenty of our subscribers, because all of our subscribers are like, you know, lower level players are risking $2, $5, $6 a night. Multiple people is like, I never won as much money in my life, $500, $600, $1,000. So like, it's been kind of like passing around to everybody. So it's really cool to wake up. Like, listen, don't get me wrong. I want to win $100,000. I'm due. But it's cool waking up in the morning and I see like all the chat rooms like, yo, thank you so much. I won $600, the most I ever won. So it's a really good feeling to watch other people win. So yeah, a big hit for me would be 100 grand. And I don't know what I'll do. Nothing's going to change in my life. I know that.
Hmm.
I'm just going to be smarter with that 100 grand. I was going to pass it to my wife and I tell my wife, we're going to go put this in real estate or just erase it from my mind so I don't see it.
Right. Just do it again, right? Just do it again a couple times. Your daughter's got her college paid for. She's not even, what, 1, 2 years old yet. So you have
Just
some,
turned one a couple
just
weeks ago,
to
man.
happy birthday to the little one. That's fantastic. So a couple things that I really liked about this story. First, there's no such thing as luck, man. There's no such thing as coincidence. You brought on the right people. You taught them. You helped them. You got them to be a little bit better, as our friend says. You let it go through you into them, and they got to win a lot of money because of it. So that I believe it happened at the right time for the right reason. So congrats, and take that. You deserve it. And definitely, I mean, seeing, yeah, even though $600 to you might not be that much, considering, you know, what you're looking for. And again, I want to get to your story about how you won $150,000 at one time, but it's got to be awesome just to, you know, some of these people, again, risking $6-7 coming away with $1,000. Like that's huge, you know, depending on your lifestyle, who you are, where you're
Some of these
from. I
kids
mean,
are young too. Some of these kids are like
yeah,
21, 22. They're in
yeah, that's
college
awesome.
right now, and that covers like a semester of partying for them. That'd be huge.
Books also, but mostly the partying. I totally agree. And I mean, like that's awesome. Like if you could add a couple, like $1,000 here and there, a couple times a year, like that's gigantic for a lot of people that aren't really into risking too much, you know. So just to our point you made before, so I think it's awesome. You obviously get to have a lot of fun doing it, so that's very helpful. And sounds like you really enjoy what you do, man. So just a couple more questions, then I'll let you get back to your Discord chat because I know you want to be there right now. But
I'm enjoying this, bro. Take your time. Don't worry.
so I guess so. With someone starting out, so I remember when you and I connected. If I'm not mistaken, you're a big baseball guy, correct? Like that's kind of where your daily fantasy really kind of hit its stride, right?
Yep.
So tell me more about, I guess, someone starting out like myself. I think I've made 2 lineups. They've both lost horribly, but like someone like myself starting out in either baseball, football, basketball, or hockey, you know, sport of your choice. What are some of the suggestions you'd make for someone, you're betting $1, $2 on a lineup on a Tuesday, and you really think Mike Trout's going to hit a home run off the Baltimore Orioles pitcher? Like,
Yeah,
what are
so
some
each
ideas you got for
sport,
me?
each sport is different. So with basketball, since we're in basketball season now, you really got to follow the news every single day. It's a frantic, um, a frantic level of news coming out. This guy is injured. This guy ate fish. This guy went to the strip club. This guy did this. This guy did that. This guy is sitting, and it's all about minutes in basketball. If you're on the floor for enough minutes, there's going to be value in pricing, and you got to follow the news and follow the trends. It's all very statistical because, like you said, Mike Trout. Let's compare Mike Trout to LeBron James, right? Both like at the top of their game in their respective sports. So LeBron James, he's not going to have a bad day, meaning he's going to be on the floor for 35 minutes, unless it's a crazy blowout or he gets hurt, which doesn't happen so often in basketball. He's going to be on the floor for 35 minutes. He's going to get a rebound here, an assist here, a block there, a three-pointer here, and he's going to accumulate all these points. Mike Trout, on the other hand, can be facing the worst lefty in the league, playing in Yankee Stadium, versus CC at the end of his career. Let's put it out there. He should dominate him. He can go 0 for 4 with hitting 4 line drives to the fence in center field, and they're all outs. So it's a little bit tougher, and you got to be a little bit more creative in baseball than in basketball. Baseball, what you really want to do is stack. You want to attack a pitcher with 3 or 4 guys from the same lineup, and your game theory is that this pitcher is going to get blown up. A guy's going to get a single. The guy behind him is going to hit a home run, which means that the guy hits a home run, gets an extra RBI, and the guy who's on base gets a run. And you're accumulating all those points, and they're compounding. So with baseball, you want to stack it up. You want to get like 3 or 4 people from one team, 3 or 4 people from another team, and hope that those 2 teams in different games or the same game score 8 runs on one team, and the other team scores 10 runs somehow. And you have all those points and those runs and those RBIs accumulating, and you get extra at-bats because if they blow up a pitcher, instead of getting 3 or 4 at-bats in a game, they might get 5 or 6, which then will give them more opportunities to score points for you. So that's what you want to do. And pitching is super important in baseball. You want to pick a pitcher that gets strikeouts. That's how you can, accumulate more points. And guys who last long in a game, not somebody who's got a pitch count of like 65 pitches that, he's not going to last enough to kind of stretch out his innings and get his points. And football for me is the toughest sport. It's probably my weakest sport because there's so much variance. I don't really believe in my game enough because I don't believe in the game enough. Because a guy can run the ball 60-yard run and get stopped at the 1, and then they give it to somebody else. And you get touchdown points. Or vice versa, the guy can, have 80 yards receiving the game. They get down to the red zone, and they just give it to a running back. And then the quarterback doesn't get the touchdown because they hand it to the running back. So there's so many things. There's concussions. There's just like you can never get in a coach's head for football because they're researching way more than I am. I didn't know that Bill Belichick is going to run this guy instead of that guy today. I didn't know that they're going to double team this guy and they're going to take this guy out and they're going to go for this and go for that. It's very hard to read through these coaches' minds, and it happened so many times as your coach said, this guy's going to get all the touches. The game starts, the guy was the second or third string running back. Like, you literally just said that Ronald Jones is going to be the starting running back for the Denver Buccaneers today, and it was all whatever his name. And it happened.
Flashbacks, dude. Peyton Barber. You're giving me flashbacks, man. You know how many leagues I friggin' started Ronald Jones in? Like, get the free dude, that sucked. But
you can't read through that. But in baseball, Mike Trout is batting first, and he's playing the whole entire game. In football, you really don't know what these coaches are thinking, and you have the injuries on top of it, and then it's not like some guy hits a double and then it's like, you know what? I'm just going to stop in between first and second and I'm going to go back. But in football, technically that kind of happens.
Yeah.
Some guy who's doing shitty all game, he breaks a tackle and runs for 80 yards. Like, how do you predict blown coverages? Like, you can predict bad secondaries, but blown coverages are blown coverages, So football is tough. But, there's days I had good weeks this year, but I had more good weeks in basketball and in baseball than in football.
So, that's awesome, man. I love it. I
Gotta
mean,
put the work in, though. It's all
yeah.
it is, work, man.
Oh,
Just like anything else. The more work you put in, the better you're gonna get.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you gave me a lot of knowledge, especially on the basketball front. Like I mean, it's obvious after you say it, but you play more minutes, you have more opportunities to get rebounds, get steals, get points that, yeah, never really like kind of, I knew that existed, but I never, I guess, thought about it like that. I'm in a fantasy basketball league. It's a season long. I only do season long leagues because it's about the pride. I want to beat my friends a
Yeah,
lot, like
bragging
really
rights.
badly.
I think
Um,
if you're into basketball, and if you have the time between 6 and 7 Eastern every day, you can hop in our Discord chat. When we get off this, I'll shoot you an invite into the Discord. And I think you'd probably, if you love basketball and you're playing, see, I can't play season long no more for basketball or baseball because it's like it's too much time effort
mhm,
for rewards for me.
mhm.
I need that immediate gratification of playing and winning the same night. And it's a lot of work in fantasy basketball because you constantly be out there changing your roster, picking up people, looking at the schedule. So you're doing a lot of work, and you probably know what's going on. If you know what's going on, you're doing that much work, and you have time availability between 6:30 and 6 and 7 every day, you probably make some money in NBA DFS because it's the most consistent of all the sports because it's all numbers.
Mhm.
And we'll get you on our cheat sheets, our projection models, and we'll help you make some lineups, man. You should try for $1, $2 here and see what happens. Just
Can't
don't
hurt.
blame me when you get addicted later, all right?
Well, as long as I get addicted to winning, I mean that's fine with me, Jason. I'm not going to be angry about that. But yeah, maybe I'll take you up on that. Maybe I'll take you up on that. And then after I win a couple bucks, I buy you a beer. How's that sound?
I don't drink no more, man. But
Okay.
you can buy
Uh,
me
uh,
a Chick-fil-A
I'll buy you
sandwich.
a $20. I'll buy you a $20 lunch. How's that sound?
I'll take a Chick-fil-A sandwich. Bring one from
Oof.
Jersey.
All right, dude. What about Popeyes? Have you had the Popeyes chicken sandwich yet?
I had it, bro. I'm a Chick-fil-A guy, man. Like
Me too, but I
it was
mean,
good. It
all
was
right.
good. You know what? The slept-on chicken sandwich.
Talk to me.
Yes.
The slept on chicken sandwich? I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, those are the only two chicken sandwiches I eat other than the one my grandma makes me. So,
All right. Next time you're at Shake Shack.
oh, you're right. No, 100%. I take that back. I'm a liar.
Yeah.
That one's delicious. Whatever
Yeah.
that sauce is that they have on it,
It's
dude, it's
crunchier
the
than
best.
Chick-fil-A. It's bigger than Chick-fil-A, and you know it's fresh. It's really slept on, man. I don't. If I go to Shake Shack, I don't even think about a hamburger. I go straight to the Chicken Shack.
Me too. That I'm a liar. Hand up. That's on me. I was in New York. I don't remember what I was for, and someone was going to Shake Shack, and I was like, "Oh, just like grab me something," assuming they'd get me a hamburger because you're
Yeah.
going to a burger place. They come back with a chicken sandwich. I'm not angry. I don't care. It's $8. I'll pay for it. Absolutely delicious, and that's all I order whenever I go to Shake Shack now. There's one
Yeah.
about
I have
7 minutes from my house.
I have a similar story. We were in Vegas on a bachelor party, and there was like some sketchy looking lady outside twirling a chicken sandwich. And we started making fun of her, like, who's going to get a chicken sandwich? And then we go wait online. Like, oh, damn, that chicken sandwich looks pretty good right now. So we each got one chicken sandwich and one hamburger. And that was the last Shake Shack hamburger I ever had in my life because I've been all chicken sandwich from then on out.
The only place I still get Shake Shack hamburgers is City Field. For whatever reason,
You want to know the reason?
I don't know. Do I want to know the reason?
I'll
Do
tell
I
you the
want to
reason.
know the reason?
I'll tell you the reason. Because I waited on that line for a chicken sandwich for like about an hour, and they don't have the chicken sandwich at
Oh,
City Field. They only have. So I literally waited for a chicken sandwich. And I
oh,
finally get it up there because it was, you know how bad that line is. I'm
oh!
like,
That line's 3 innings long.
damn, these guys don't even have chicken. I ended up getting a hamburger, but I got really disappointed because I wanted that chicken sandwich.
Yeah, dude. No, I honestly have never tried to order a chicken sandwich from there, so I did not know that they didn't exist. I just for whatever reason, the burgers. That is the best Shake Shack hamburger I've ever had is in City Field, and I've had it multiple times. And there's two near me, and I've had them both, and doesn't even compare.
You're a
Whatever
Yankee
they're
fan,
doing.
right?
No, I'm a Mets fan.
All right, so I'm a Mets fan too. That's probably why it tastes better because you're at City
Maybe,
Field. And
maybe maybe it's also the couple beer that I had right before I ate the chicken sandwich. But
there you go.
all right, dude. Last story I'm asking for. So thank you again. I'll hop on the Discord. I'll make some money. I'll buy you a Shake Shack chicken sandwich. You
There
know
you
what?
go.
We'll do a taste test. We'll buy all three chicken sandwiches. We'll each have half. We'll call it a night. It'll be great. So in your book, one of the first stories, and I loved it, and I think it's awesome, with you walking your dog, and you did a great just job in the description. So when everyone is finished with this, all the links are going to be in the description, so you can go buy Jason's book because it's fantastic. But can you please tell me the story of when you won $150,000? Because I read it, and I read it in your voice because we've spoken enough. But can you just tell me? I mean, give me, I don't know, the 5-10 minute version, whatever you want, just so everyone else out there can get a little taste of what they're going to read.
Yeah, so the 5-10 minute version is basically I've been playing for about a year. We started with baseball. I heard the commercials. When I heard these commercials for FanDuel and DraftKings, it was FanDuel first. I'm like, is this made specifically for me? It brings out competition. There's money involved. I'm an entrepreneur, and it's all about sports. I'm like, and it doesn't have the tilting factor, and it didn't really need the discipline that sports betting did. So I'm like, this is perfect. So I started playing my first year, ups and downs, trying to learn everything. There wasn't any resources out there for sites like what I'm running now. So you're basically on your own. You don't really know anybody. You don't know what the hell's going on. You don't know about the rules. You don't know what to do, and you just start trying things. So did my first year, lost some money, did football, did basketball, jumped back into baseball. And there was like a big tournament that they announced. It was called the King of the Diamond. And they announced it that was going to be like at the end of the summer. So you can like win these satellite tickets into this tournament. So like they're $200 tournament tickets that you can amass for lower amounts. So you can win like a $10 tournament to beat 20 people and win a $200 ticket. So as the season went on, I got 7 tickets. So I was like, all right, there was like 2,300 people in the tournament. I'm like, all right, I got 7 tickets. It's the most tickets I ever had. I never really spent that much money before on tournaments. This was the biggest tournament prize pool that was ever around at that point in time. Now they're so much bigger, but tournament came up and I was playing all season long, so I felt good about it. I knew what day it was going to be, so I'm like, all right, let me prepare a little bit extra, a couple days ahead, and went in and basically entered the tournament with 7 different lineups. My core was pretty much the same, core of 3, 4, 5 guys. Switched out a couple pitchers, had Chris Archer in one, had this guy in one, had this guy in one, and kind of blended it around. So I had a couple different variations of the same core. And if I remember correctly, I was hanging out with my wife, went out to dinner, came back. She at that point kind of she didn't know how big the industry got, and also wasn't so fond of it at that point. It was like it was taking up all my time. I was checking my phone at dinners, researching all day, all night. And she saw me playing and this, that, and the other thing. She didn't stop it, but she wasn't like promoting it like it was such a good thing that I was sitting there on my phone and my computer all day long. But she was supportive of it because she knew I enjoyed it. So we went out. I looked at my lineups, had a couple lineups that were doing well, a couple lineups that were doing in the middle of the pack. And as the night goes on, I realized that I have like 3 or 4 teams in the top 100. And a couple of teams are flirting in the top like 20 to 30. I'm like, oh, this might be getting kind of serious right now. So my wife goes to sleep. And then I realized that 2 of my teams pop in the top 10 and one of them pops in first place. I was like, oh my God, like this is really, really, really serious right now. Now I'm starting to freak out. But I knew I've been there before where, games start at 7:00. They don't finish till like 1:00. And there's a whole period of time that you're just kind of sweating. It's called a sweat because you're really nervous. Your heartbeat elevates and your blood pressure rises because you're like, oh my God, I'm winning $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 or whatever it is. And basically I was in first place around 9:00. And I knew I had to ride this out all the way to 1:00 in the morning. And this was not going to be fun. And like some people, I guess, kind of enjoy it. Like I don't enjoy sitting there like stressing out like, oh
Yeah,
my
right.
God, if something goes wrong, this whole thing is all taken away from me. Like I'd rather just be in last place or I'd rather be trying to catch first place. Being in first place and seeing everybody chasing you down is just not a good feeling. It's a good feeling in some sense that you're in contention, but it's a stressful position to be in that place. So I just started doing stuff. I didn't watch any of the games. So I'm like, I'm winning right now. I don't want to watch any of the games. So I started doing all the chores in the house that I've been kind of like
just procrastinating on. Yeah.
Yeah, like I put the dishes away. I filed paperwork for my old business, which literally I procrastinated on for maybe like 6 to 8 months. Then I started taking my dogs for walks. So I took my dog out for one walk. I was still in first place. Came back upstairs, did more chores. And then I was like, I have nothing left to do. Like, I can't just sit in a dark room. And my wife already fell asleep. I'm like, all right, I'm going to take my dog for another walk. It was summertime. So I'm like, I'm just keeping my dog outside, walking around in circles until this is over. And I knew how to fade Mike Trout and other West Coast players because I knew people had them. So I literally just walked up and down my block, talking to myself, talking to the dog, talking to God straight up, like, saying, please, God, let this hold, let this win hold up. And I just kept on walking in circles. And finally, when all the games ended, every like half an hour, I couldn't fight the urge and I had to check my phone again. So I checked my phone again. It was over. All the games ended. And then I went back upstairs, and then I had to tell my wife exactly what I went through for the past like 3.5 hours. And it was probably like around 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I woke her up, and she's a dead sleeper. Like, she's like out cold, unconscious, and she'll be talking about like sleep talking and talking about random stuff. So I had to get her up. I'm like, guess what happened? And, you got woken up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and my father, was sick at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And, she like, did something happen? I'm like, guess what happened? She's like, what happened? I'm like, guess what happened? She's like, what? I'm like, I won a tournament on FanDuel. She's like, how much? I'm like, take a guess. So she starts off, I don't know what she said, 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
And, we work our way up, no higher. And she's like, are you serious? And then when I told her, like, yeah, this is effing serious, it was just, her hopping on the bed, definitely shedded a tear or two, both of us, because, we both had good jobs at the time, but we weren't rich. My parents aren't rich at all. So it's life-changing money to win $155,000 in one night playing daily fantasy sports. Like, you never thought that this day would ever come. So, that time I was smart. That went towards the down payment of my house.
Yes.
And that wasn't something I was going to play around with. And, I was really smart about it. The second time around, stupid. I learned my lesson the second time around. The third time around, go back to being smart. Do something smart with it. Hopefully, can win a million maker. That's something that I still have on my bucket list. Did you hear about the story? What happened this past weekend?
I said that was my last story, but I remembered. I just wrote it down. Yes, I did. You might have a little bit more insight than I do. I was trying to explain it to my fiance, and I really couldn't understand like how to explain it well enough. So if you don't mind telling everybody what that woman from The Bachelor, I can't believe she did that to you, Jason.
Yeah, she didn't do it. Full disclosure, so basically, I never did what they do.
Mm-hmm. Well, explain what they did, please.
So basically, after the industry grew so fast, so big, the only way the prize pools can grow this big is by allowing people to enter more than once.
Mm-hmm.
So there are single entry tournaments where you can only enter one time. And then there's tournaments you can enter 30 times or 50 times or 100 times. And then they usually cap out at 150. So somebody can go in using a computer algorithm or an optimizer, which we're actually working on building for our own site, which should be up and running like the next couple of weeks. And what an optimizer does is you can play around with like different codes and stuff like that. Easy way to explain it. You can build out, 150 lineups with one click of the button. These optimizers are not like perfect though. It's not like you click it, you automatically win. I click it, I automatically win. Because if that's the case, then everybody just have
Mm-hmm.
the same lineup and they win. So you got to play around with it. You got to build out these functions in there that separates guys you like, separate guys you don't like, raise projection on certain guys. So what happened is the husband put in 150 lineups. And I've seen this before. I'm not going to mention names, but there's people in the industry that work in tandem, work in threes, work in fours. And I don't know what the agreements are, but they're like, all right, I'm going to enter 150 lineups. You're going to enter 150 lineups? Yeah, I'm going to enter 150 lineups too. So you have 2 or 3 people entering 150 lineups. So instead of, overlapping, they now have 300 lineups or 450 lineups. So what happened this past weekend, so it's been happening over and over again. There's pros out there that work together to optimize 300, 450. God knows, maybe there's 5 pros that I don't even know about that are doing it at 750, and they're going in and working in tandem, and they have some kind of split going. If they win $100,000, they each get $20,000, whatever the case may be. So it's happening. It's been happening. There's not much anybody can do about it, because DraftKings or FanDuel, they can't validate the fact that somebody entered 150, but he was really talking to somebody else down the block who also entered 150, and they kind of worked together to not have the same lineup, have similar but not the same. So it just happens to be super funny that husband and wife and are entering lineups together, using the same system to optimize these lineups. Somebody posted, you can kind of research your lineups after the fact, and the girl ended up winning. The Bachelorette ended up winning, and then people started digging around. And I've seen some funny shit that's been floating around now where, like, I guess they were on stage because they're somewhat B-list or whatever you call them, celebrities. And on one of the shows, I guess they were on, like, what do you hate most about what your husband does? And then, when you had, like, kind of like the husband has to answer the question, like, blindly and write on the thing, he put up play fantasy football.
Yeah.
So, like, and then she has a post on Twitter, like, yeah, my husband's making these fantasy lineups and I'm stuck doing this. Like, she has all these clues that she obviously doesn't do it. And now she ended up winning $1 million in technically her name. But there's enough proof that unless they lie under oath, that, it kind of leans on the fact that they colluded together to do this. Who knows how big the syndicate is, because there's rumors now it might have been bigger than just them two. It could have been a third person potentially, or God knows who. But I don't know how they prove it, man. Like, I really don't know. Like, technically, me and my wife can both like fantasy sports. We can both, like, am I not allowed to help my wife? No, I'm allowed to help my wife make her lineups. I'm helping people on Win Daily Sports. I'm helping people who are my friends, with, suggestions. So who's to say that husband didn't help wife? And if he knows how to use the system, say, hey, do it this way, do it that way. I already have these guys, so, hey, we're a family. Don't play the same lineup as me. Like, how do you really protect against that? So it's going to be interesting. But did you hear the second part of the story? I don't know if you've been following it.
I haven't, not that closely. I didn't know there was a second part.
The second place guy got, like, big time lawyer who's involved in sports, who's been he's I don't know his name, but he's been, he's a strong lawyer who's going after the second place guy. Hired this strong sports lawyer or whatever he is. I saw his resume. I don't remember who he represented in the past, but it wasn't like Joe from the block. It was like real deal people. So it's going to be interesting how he goes at it now, like, to prove that these people colluded, and the Bachelor and Bachelorette are going to have to dump $1 million to this guy and they get excluded from the winnings. That'd be pretty damn crazy.
Oof,
I think DraftKings might, to save face, maybe pay them both out just to squash it and move it away. There's got to be some kind of settlement that happens, I think.
Yeah.
I think they end up paying second place maybe $1 million, letting them keep the $1 million. They probably lose like $900,000 because second place is $100,000. So they probably play. But then who's to say third place shouldn't get money? Because
I was going to say,
Yeah, so it's kind of messed up. My boy Avi, earlier this week, he finished in third place like 4 weeks ago, because Dallas Goedert couldn't catch like one extra pass. So I'm like, yo, Avi, maybe you should go get that same lawyer and see if you deserve a second or first place, because maybe there's some more money in there for you, man.
Hey, man. I mean, especially with the money being as big as it is now. I mean, I remember a few years ago, really when it was starting to get huge, if I'm not mistaken, like, people that worked at FanDuel would be able to see all the lineups, and then they'd go to DraftKings and put in a lineup that was very unique compared to all. So, like, with that in mind, or even if you know that better and you can explain it better.
You explained it pretty damn good. Yeah, they knew player ownership earlier in the day, so they knew this guy's going to be super high owned. This guy's going to be super low owned. The variance that this low guy can be as good as the high guy made sense to play the low guy instead of the high guy. So people went ahead and did that, and it happens to be a guy used that information. Whether or not it wasn't like it was guaranteed that it was going to work, but it was an advantage that he had over the rest of the field, which is unfair, and that's why no more employees are allowed to play fantasy sports if you work for one of these companies. So I think that was definitely worse. I don't know how they change it, man. I really don't know. If they change it, that means the prize pool is going to lower, because if people can't enter the 150 and they can only maybe max enter 20, then they're not going to be able to fill up these million maker tournaments, because the
Hmm.
prize pools will shrink, which may not be a bad thing. I don't see a way that they ever go from 150 down to one only. And if it's
Yeah.
so it can reduce the possible collusion, but it'll never fully go away. But
Hmm.
it would reduce it a lot if we chop the 150 down to maybe 30 lineups each, or 50 lineups each.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean that's just like with it being so. You even said it before. Like there are sharks trying to take stupid people like me. They're trying to take my money. They know that I am not working in collusion with 3 or 4 other people. I'm not putting in 150 lineups. Um, Other than that opportunity, we're just saying like let's chop it down. Do you have any suggestions for the industry on maybe kind of how to tamper this, or how to like at least just make it so that the normal guy, the regular public Joe, can actually go in and not feel like, hey, I'm putting $5 to something, I actually have a chance. It's more like roulette, less like, playing blackjack, but everyone else knows the cards.
Yeah, after that whole thing happened last time, they made some changes. So somebody like you starting off, there's beginners only contest. So if you won a certain amount of money or won a certain amount of tournaments, you can't play in those contests. So my first suggestion is play those.
Hmm.
Because that automatically removes all the people who played, and the threshold on that is like I broke that threshold like 6-7 years ago. You
Hmm.
know, so
Hmm.
it's only for newbies. For like their first 100 wins, they can be in there. So, and they do a great job at restricting those contests. So in that sense, play those beginner contests, and then also there's single entry contests where it max you can only enter one time. And there's nice tournaments, especially for football, where there's 1,000 people in there, and you can put $50 in, and it's a single entry tournament, and you can win $10,000 or $20,000. So that would be my suggestion: is do single entry tournaments, do smaller pool tournaments like 100-person tournament, do a 50-person tournament, or if you just want to make money, if your goal is to make money, not millions, but make money, play cash games, play a head-to-head game, play a 50-50 game where there's 20 people to enter, 10 people double up their money. If you do that consistently over time, and you prove like, okay, I can do that at the $1 level. Can I do that at the $2 level? Can I do that at the $5 level? 1, 2, and 5 are pretty much the same. So if every day I can enter $50 and I'm doubling it up, I'm making $50 a day. $50 a day times 30, even if you don't win every day. So say you win out of the 30 days, you win 20 days and you lose 10 days. And you make $50 a day. $6,000 a year that you just now made playing daily fantasy sports. The problem comes in, and I've seen it in our Discord chat all the time, is when, oh, I lost. Oh, I lost all this money. You entered a dollar tournament with 300,000 people. Like, the chances of you winning that tournament and making money is very, very slim. And these big tournaments with 300,000 people only pay out the top 15 to 20% maximum. So that means you got to beat, you know, what's the math on that? You got to beat 250,000 people or 220,000 people, whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
That's not good odds.
Yeah.
I'd rather beat one person head to head, or I'd rather be in the top 50% of a 20-person or 100-person field where I can double up my money. So you can go in there and make money if you're disciplined and you don't have these expectations to win first place. So many people text me. I get some scary texts, bro. Like, full disclosure, like some of the texts I get, I'm like, I show it to some of my, people working with me. I'm like, how do I even answer this? Like, dude, you shouldn't be like, go get a job. Like, if the situation is that, but it's scary to me. It's like, if I just hit one tournament, my life would be good. I don't know, man. The way you put it out there, that's probably not going to help your life much, because $1,000 is, shouldn't sway you like fixing your entire life. And my life
Hmm.
is so bad. And now if I just got that $1,000 hit, nah, you can't think like that. So I think the mindset is really important. For somebody like you, I would say play these double ups, play the single entry tournaments, And if you have $100 of risk every month, allocate like 90% of it in double ups and head to head games, and then 10% of it do these single entry tournaments where if you do have a great night, now instead of making $10 on your money, you just made $100, and now your bankroll gets larger.
Hmm. I love it. Man, I
That's
can't
true.
wait. This Discord chat is going to be awesome. I'm going to learn so much in the next few days. Awesome. Jason, this has been absolutely fantastic. I don't need to keep you from your daughter. I know she's asleep, but you got to think about her a little bit. And you got to get to that Discord chat too now. One more time, Jason Mezrahi, Win Daily Sports. Got it?
.com, man. Don't forget the .com.
.com. Son of a bitch. I had it this whole. I didn't have it at all. Author, sports writer, radio host, podcast host, all around great guy. Jason, sincerely appreciate your time today, man.
I appreciate your time, man. You've been a great host, and
Thank
who
you.
knows, man?
How did my I'll let this keep recording so we all know how did my job interview go?
You might have a future, man.
Oh,
You gotta
we'll
get
see,
me like
man.
a pilot. And as long as you take a trip to the city, man, I'll put you on the short list of
Ooh,
people who can back me up. I gotta do the show by myself on Saturday, so you never know, man.
hey,
Maybe
man.
after your first big win, you gotta get a big win under your belt.
All
So
right, all right. Well, with your help,
get
man,
a big win
you,
that can put it that you can put on your resume, and then we'll take it from there.
sounds like if I just join your team, yeah, $40,000 is waiting for me in the wings. So I mean, that's sounds good to me, man. I'm ready when you are.
All right, man. We'll talk soon then.